I want to build something undeniable. Something
important.
Iconic.
Hey, welcome back to ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy, and this is all of the Easter eggs, references, and little things you might have missed in the first trailer for Ironheart. As always, check us out on all podcast platforms and buy our Marvel parody merch. Links are below. Now, before we get into the trailer, I want to give you guys a recap on Riri Williams in the MCU and her origin in the comics. So Riri Williams first appeared in the Invincible Iron Man Volume 2, Issue 7 back in 2016, so she's still a relatively new character. In the comics, Riri is a 15-year-old kid genius attending MIT, the alma mater of Tony Stark. There, she builds her very own Iron Man-inspired mechanized suit after using stolen blueprints that she found on campus. Now, in doing so, she earns the approval of Tony Stark and eventually succeeds him as Iron Man, becoming Ironheart. Now, we've already met Riri in the MCU, and she has a pretty similar backstory to her comic counterpart. In Wakanda Forever, after building a device that can detect vibranium, Riri inadvertently draws the attention of the Wakandans.
I'm here about the vibranium detector that you built for the CIA.
Riri joins forces with Shuri and the Wakandans in their fight against Namor and the Talokan, and we get to see her in action in her very own iron suit, but Shuri doesn't let her keep it.
Your suit. Can't let you leave with it. It's all good.
So, what will be really interesting to see is whether or not Riri has an AI hologram of Tony Stark like she does in the comics. We know that Robert Downey Jr. is returning to play Dr. Doom, and we know that from Wakanda Forever that despite Riri never meeting Tony, she does idolize him. So Riri, like Peter Parker and the other Avengers, will likely feel a great conflict about fighting this villainous lookalike in Doomsday and Secret Wars. But before we get to that showdown, she has another pair of villains to take on in this series, and that is the Hood and Mephisto. So Parker Robbins, aka the Hood, first appeared in his own 2002 comic called The Hood. Parker lives in New York City and has committed himself to a life of crime to care for his sick mother. In a robbery gone wrong, he kills a demon called Nasanti and steals a cloak and boots which give him supernatural powers. Later in the comics, it's revealed that he even has a connection to Dormammu.
Dormammu? I've come to bargain.
But it's likely in this series that the cloak and boots actually belong to Mephisto, the devil we've been looking for ever since WandaVision.
Not the beast! Not the beast!
We finally got a name drop for the character here in Agatha All Along.
Or an agent of Mephisto.
So Mephisto first appeared all the way back in 1968 Silver Surfer number 3, and he is not like the devil from the Bible, but I mean, he's basically the devil. He's a demonic, manipulative, shape-shifting deceiver who rules over a fiery hellscape and is notorious for making deals that primarily benefit himself. Some of his most famous appearances include his role alongside Thanos in the Infinity Gauntlet, as well as his role in Spider-Man One More Day, where Spider-Man trades his marriage with MJ to Mephisto in exchange for the resurrection of his Aunt May. Mephisto rewrites reality so that Aunt May never died, but Peter and MJ's marriage and the bond they shared is erased and absorbed by Mephisto, feeding his power. And also, throughout all this, Peter gets his secret identity back. And of course, we saw a similar erasing the world's memory storyline in Spider-Man No Way Home. So Mephisto has also had many encounters with Doctor Strange, as well as the Spirit of Vengeance, Ghost Rider. We've even seen him in Nicolas Cage's 2 Ghost Rider movies, where he took on different physical forms in both films. Now, before we get rolling into the trailer, I just want to thank you guys for watching and for shopping our merch store with these awesome Thunderbolts parody jerseys that we designed, sponsored by Shane's Tire. Now this is some—
Hello there, I would like to buy a movie. A customer, person, we got a live one. Yes, I am looking for Hell Road 2.
Well, we do have that one, but it's in the basement. But I will go get it. Colton, take over.
Oh, sure. Hi. So, the trailer opens with this glitch holographic haze over this shot of Chicago, a fun nod to the heads-up display that we are accustomed to seeing within an Iron Man helmet, seeing the world through the eyes of that mechanized mask. We see Riri approaching a pizza place called Desperitos Pizza. I thought it said Desperados Pizza, and I had this whole section about the Marvel character Desperado, who is this cowboy thief character with a robot horse, but no, it says Desperito.
Desperate, if you ask me.
Haha, so Ree has been lured here and trapped in an elevator as part of a test by Parker Robbins, aka the Hood, to see if Riri really is the heist master that rumors claim her to be. Riri decides not to play his game and hotwires the elevator, inadvertently proving to Parker that she's exactly what he's been looking for. We then get the Marvel Television logo reminding us of Marvel's latest initiative to have some daylight between the respective factions of Marvel Studios. We have Marvel Studios for the movies, Marvel Television television for streaming, and Marvel animation for shows like What If. They're still all under that Marvel Studios banner that is ultimately run by Kevin Feige, so they aren't as divided as they once were back in the days of Perlmutter with Marvel Entertainment and them running the TV division, and Feige was pretty much kept in the dark. But we are seeing some clearer lines being drawn, tying to recent reports of big movie characters not appearing in the shows anymore after Vision Quest. So Riri is attending MIT, Tony Stark's old stomping ground, and as she enters here, we can see on the door Hangar 17 and the name Stark. This is likely a research facility donated to MIT by Stark and likely receives funding from the Stark Foundation. We saw in Captain America Civil War that Tony donated a lot of money to MIT.
All of your projects have just been approved and funded.
And we know that Pepper Potts is likely continuing that charitable donation. We've seen big checks from the Stark Foundation with her signature on them, like here in Spider-Man Far From Home. Hangar 17 could be in reference to this old variety show that featured kids showcasing their special talents. I mean, this story is about a young person proving herself and her talents to the world, so that would make sense. And we even hear the Hood saying over this bit of the trailer,
"Riri, I see you. I see you're fed up, waiting to be acknowledged for your greatness."
And here on this laptop screen, we see an example of that greatness with an image of her crucial invention from Wakanda Forever, a vibranium detector.
This thing can detect the altered frequency of vibranium.
Now here on this white mechanized arm, Riri is taking out of a drawer, we see a barcode on the hand, likely meaning that this is like an approved version of her suit, not a version that she has made in secret, but a version that has been developed at MIT, and this barcode is an inventory label. And this is a subtle way of showing us that this is a version of her suit that is out of her control, which will of course later play into her taking that life of crime in order to prove herself and get to make the thing that she wants to make. Now here on this whiteboard we can see what looks like a little Iron Man doodle, and then we see MIT Liaison played by Jim Rash, who we first met at MIT in Captain America Civil War, here after Tony's barf presentation.
Tony, so generous, so much money, wow.
He was also the dean on the show Community, where the Russo brothers directed some of the best episodes of that show. Their paintball episode is actually what got them Captain America the Winter Soldier, and because of the Russos, several cast members from Community have made appearances in the MCU, such as the Russo-directed Captain America Civil War, where we first met this character. It's also here in the background that we see an old-school red phone booth, which can actually be found at the real MIT, and it actually has an actual working campus phone inside. These phone booths were also most commonly found in the UK, which is where the Hangar 17 variety show was made, so it's fitting that the phone booth is seemingly in Hangar 17. I bet we could also find Paul from Heavy Spoilers in here if we looked hard enough. Next, we meet Manny Montana's character, Cousin John. He asks,
"How come you're not working at one of those fancy tech firms?"
Overlaid B-roll shows us Riri working in Shuri's lab in Wakanda, building her suit, and she refers to it as her internship abroad. So Riri wants to make something iconic, and unlike Tony Stark, she doesn't have an infinite amount of money at her fingertips and clearly doesn't want to play in the confines of MIT, which of course would cut off that funding as well. This pushes her to rely on the Hood for funding her dreams and doing something iconic.
I want to build something undeniable, something
Important.
iconic.
You can see the outline of her suit through the glass, so we can assume that she built one of these suits we see in the trailer directly after Wakanda Forever, probably the more rusty, scratched up suit that we see later in the trailer, which she would eventually restore. It has also been reported and featured in a D23 leaked trailer of this show that Riri is expelled from MIT, meaning that she'll likely once again lose access to her suit that she worked so hard on, the same way she lost access to her other suit that she built in Wakanda Forever. So now she is determined to build something that is her own and that no one can take away from her, and enter this third suit we see in the trailer that has a more rustic vibe. Next, we see these doors to what appears to be a control room, and this door reads authorized entry only. Something tells me these guys aren't authorized. Next, we see Alden Ehrenreit's character. You'll remember Alden Ehrenreich. He played Han Solo. In this show, he is listed as playing Joe McGillicuddy, which sounds like a totally made-up name, and that's because it likely is, and he is probably playing the son of Iron Man villain Obadiah Stane. Here in his shady bunker,
My bunker's not shady.
we see Riri holding what appears to be an arc reactor, something that Obadiah was obsessed with and looked to replicate in that first Iron Man movie.
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps.
An arc reactor, of course, being a crucial piece of any Iron Man suit, providing the power necessary to operate it. Here, Riri has wires going to her temples, likely testing the necessary mind control technology to control her suit with her brainwaves, similar to what Tony was making here in Iron Man 3.
I'm the best.
Tony used this technology to be able to call his armor to him, which is something that we see Riri do in this trailer as well. Now, speaking of Iron Man 3, we have this shot in Riri's dorm with her iron suit just chilling with its legs crossed, a callback to Tony's suit in Iron Man 3 chilling on this couch. And in this shot, we see a hologram of a woman appearing in front of Riri, but it cuts off just before we see her face. Spoiler alert, we know who it is based on the comics.
Tony Stark?
No, but yes, Riri does have an AI hologram of Tony Stark in the comics, but no, this is Riri's friend Natalie Washington, who is in this show, and in the comics, she, spoiler alert by the way, she is tragically killed in a drive-by shooting, and then her character continues on as an AI hologram for future interactions with Riri, which is likely exactly what we are seeing happening here. Next, we can see the Hood utilizing his magic cloak for invisibility, one of his many abilities from the comics. Here on Riri's door, we see this do not enter while soldering is in progress. This appears to be her childhood bedroom, and this shows us that, like Tony Stark, Peter Parker, and Shuri, Riri has always been a tech genius from a very young age. Here, we see Riri catching the boot of her suit, again calling back to Iron Man 3, where we saw Tony do the same, utilizing his new tech that allowed him to summon his suit remotely. Just like we were talking about earlier, Riri has developed a similar technology. So Riri goes flying, and we hear her let out a victory screech, just like here in Wakanda Forever. Our own Ethan Ing, who has been a big help researching this video by the way, he pointed out that in Riri's dorm we see this astronaut figurine that may have inspired the all-white design of this new suit. We should also point out that this suit shares a similar aesthetic with Riri's suit that we saw in What If. Next, we have these veiny lines on the Hood's back that feel like an inverse of angel wings, giving us a hint at his demonic possession that gives him his power, and a connection to devil iconography with Mephisto.
No, not the beast! Not the beast!
We also get this great shot of his cloak hanging up, hinting that it's more than a fashion choice and teasing at how this cloak, which he stole, is a crucial piece to his power. It would also appear from this next shot that he is able to use his magic to curve bullets, reminding me of the movie Wanted, where we saw Professor X hit Star-Lord with a keyboard and then team up with Thena. When Riri flips the truck, she gets a suit-up moment, similar to Tony Stark's suit-ups, where the armor flies in and envelopes him. When she lands, notice the boot lock into the ground, just like Ironmonger's did in Iron Man 1, which further implies that Ironheart's character might be Obadiah Stane's son, and that he and Riri designed this new suit together. I also thought this shot was a little reminiscent of Rey in The Rise of Skywalker in that scene when she was running away and then did that jump flip and slice Kylo's ship. And then we get the title card, and in that logo we can see an actual Ironheart, the same one that we saw Riri cut out in Wakanda Forever when she was building her first suit. In the end tag, we see Riri in Joe's not at all shady bunker, where he has missiles reminiscent of those Stark missiles that we have seen in Iron Man 1. Yet another clue that he is connected to Obadiah Stane. Also, Joe says his bunker is not shady because of his live, laugh, love sign, but we should actually point out that he has two of these. There's also this framed one, which definitely feels shady. I mean, why does he need two? And why does he have this safari helmet or pith helmet hanging in the back? Maybe he is related to Jumanji's Van Pelt. No, but seriously, this hat could belong to him, or maybe even Obadiah Stane, hinting that he or his old dad have ventured into other countries for research or theft of resources in foreign countries, or perhaps even military action in foreign countries, similar to that of a character like Stryker in X-Men Origins Wolverine, when he and his task force were harassing various tribes in search of adamantium. We could get flashbacks showing that Obadiah did something similar, perhaps looking for vibranium or resources he needed to replicate the arc reactor. So we should also mention that Marvel released a poster alongside this trailer. The tagline for the poster reads, "Every dream has a cost," which might reflect the two opposing forces of this show, that being Riri and Parker. Parker, on the other hand, is more obvious. His goals are being fulfilled with demon magic, which will cost him throughout the show. And notice in this poster, the suit's wires slowly become chains, which could symbolize Mephisto.
Not the beast! Not the beast!
We know the character is making some sort of appearance in this show, and this could also tease where the Hood ends up by the end of this season, since there is an arc in the comics where he becomes the Ghost Rider. So maybe that is the cost of Parker's dream. And man, I really hope they are setting things up for that wing of the MCU that includes Ghost Rider. Give me that damn Midnight Suns movie or a special presentation or whatever. I am so pumped for this dark magic underworld section of the MCU, and I think that it could thrive as its own thing, and it's perfectly suited for streaming, so hopefully this is a step in that direction. What is that?
Oh, it's just me. I'm back from the basement, and I have seen things. But I got the movie, Hell Road 2. That'll be $3.99, please. Oh, never mind. I'm just going to watch it on my phone. Oh.
Alright guys, well that was our breakdown for the Ironheart trailer. Let us know if we missed anything down in the comments below, and let us know your thoughts on this trailer and your level of excitement for this show. I'm personally optimistic that it'll be good, but I'm simultaneously pessimistic given the fact that this show was made during a very different era of the MCU. For ScreenCrush, I'm Colton Ogburn.